Hello, welcome. Starting to see some folks join us, so we'll just wait a few more minutes and hopefully get some more friends in the room. Welcome, everybody. Hello, Jeff.
Hi, Dee Manchion.
Hello. Mr. Winter is already rocking the swag. I like that. That's great to see. I'm glad you received your t-shirt. There he is. Hello, Dean. We got you on mute now.
Okay.
We got you now. I think we'll just wait one more minute. I do see a couple of names that had registered that maybe are running just a minute late. And then, of course, we can get started and folks can pop in and out as they need to. right. I guess we can go ahead and get started if you want, Dean. I'll just say hello to everybody and welcome, welcome. For those of you that I haven't had a chance to introduce myself to, I'm Amy Mangione, and I'm the Assistant Dean of Admissions. So I have enjoyed speaking with you, the admitted students, and somewhat to your family when I get the chance. So today, I think we have some parents and spouses and any other support members. I would always say that law school is a team sport, so we're always happy to have everybody. So today is really intended to be an open discussion about whatever it is you need to know. And I know that Dean Willett has some great advice on sort of how to be a successful admitted student and how to be their family that supports them. So for those of you who may not be super familiar with Zoom, at the bottom of your screen, there's usually a toolbar of sorts. There is a chat function. So you're welcome to use that to type in any questions, or certainly you're welcome to just jump in and speak up. If you're comfortable having your video on, we'd love to see your faces and engage, but certainly it's okay if you don't as well. We're generally going to keep everybody mute, your microphones mute during most of the conversation, just since there's a lot of people in the room so it doesn't get too unwieldy. But you do have the ability to unmute yourself. So if at some point you have a question or a thought that you'd like to engage in the conversation, we would like this to be informal, and so feel free to jump in. You can also, there's a participants button in your toolbar, and it'll bring up a list of participants. And at the bottom of that list, you'll see an option to raise your hand. So we'll be moderating and keeping an eye on that. And it'll put like a little hand next to it, which will indicate to us, the moderators, that you would like to speak or have a question. So you can engage however best you feel comfortable, but we look forward to chatting with you. So I'm going to turn it over to our president and dean, Alicia Willett.
Thanks, Amy. And hi, everybody. And we really do hope that this will be interactive and that you'll be brave and either raise your hands or speak in the chat or just speak up and ask the questions that you have on your mind. I want to welcome all of you and I want to congratulate especially our admitted students who are on the call. What an amazing thing you've done getting into law school and all the work that goes into it. We know how hard you worked. We know that you are very select. This has been an incredibly selective class and competitive class, and we can't wait to meet you in person. And I wish we were doing this in person, but we're just thrilled to have you. And I want to also congratulate the moms and dads and partners and spouses and children and anyone else who's on the line, because you were part of this success too. And I know how proud you must feel of your student for getting here and for making this choice to go into this incredible profession. And the world needs lawyers now more than ever. We have problems that are completely unprecedented and new and growing every day. And it will be your sons and daughters and people who will make the difference, who will go out and help solve some of these problems and fight for the little guy or help the business get reorganized and up on its feet and create policies that make sense and untangle some of this knot that we're in. So they're off to just an incredible journey and have a really important role to play in the world. So congratulations to you for getting them to this place. And part of what I want to talk with you about tonight is I want to answer your questions mainly, but I do want to talk a little bit about what it's like for the support person going through law school, because law school is very different from undergrad, and it may not be at all what you're expecting. It may be. Some of you, most of you, your cameras off. Those of you who have your cameras on, there's just a few of you. Any lawyers in the family, anyone been through law school? Raise your hands. No, okay, so this is new. This is new. And it's gonna be true for a lot of you that this is new. Hi, it's nice to see your faces. So what does law school look like? Law school is intense, particularly the first couple of weeks or months where you have a group of students who are all, you know, the brightest of the best of the best, the most talented and brightest coming together. And you're thrown into this world where you're doing a lot of reading and you read it, whatever the assignment is, and you read it again and you're still not sure you understand. And that's perfectly normal. And why is it like that? Law is really a different language. It's as though you've all been studying French in high school and college, and now you're being dropped into a little village in the middle of France, and nobody speaks English. And that school French that you learn, it just like it kind of works, but it's pretty rough at first. But the more you speak, as the weeks go by, all of a sudden you can order your baguette and cheese, and it works a whole lot better. And then at some point, you're not even thinking about it, and you're fluent, and you're speaking French. So the law is like that. And your students are going to go through that transformation. And some of them, it'll happen really quick, and other ones, it's going to be a little bit longer. And what does that mean for you? It means you may get the call, or you may see your person at home, and they're, I don't get it. This is hard. Well, it's supposed to be hard. So if they're saying that, they're doing exactly what they're supposed to be doing. They're working and struggling with that gaining of fluency that takes so much work. And it can be frustrating. There can be those moments of just vast insecurity. I actually worry. I've been at Albany Law School. I graduated from Albany Law School back when there were dinosaurs, a long, long time ago, 1994. Came back as a faculty member in 2001. So I have been at the law school as a faculty member and then later as the dean for quite a long time. I've seen a lot of students. I worry much more about the students who say after 3 weeks, I got this, piece of cake. Those students aren't seeing how hard it is. It's the ones who are struggling, who are like, this is hard, that 3 weeks later or 6 weeks later, they actually get it. And when they take their first set of exams or hand in their first papers, they're very insecure about it because they just wrote a paper in French in law. And they didn't, it's hard to feel very secure until you've done it a couple of times, but the learning curve is really steep. And so the students come back in their second semester and they've got kind of a swagger because they really do have it. They've got it. But that first semester, you're going to get some of those calls or you're going to see someone a little hang-doggy at dinner, and that's okay. So what can you do to help? Well, love them, support them, feed them. They're always hungry. And leave them alone a little bit. Let them have the time to work. We really advise very strongly, and to focus on studying, we advise very strongly against working in your first semester. Now, some of you may be in a situation where you're planning to work because you need the income. If that's the situation, I'd love for you to talk to me or to Dean Mangione. You can ask questions tonight. We may want to think about having the first semester. You might want to drop a class after a couple of weeks because you want to be able to focus on the class. If you can avoid working in that first semester, do it. We have lots of students who work their second semester because they're fluent now. They're able to. We have jobs on campus. We try to limit the amount of time that you're working. And then second and third year of law school, and if any of you are four-year students, almost everybody is working for pay at that point, and it's totally manageable. But that first semester is just tough. It really is. So you can also expect your students to come home and start using a lot of words that you don't know because they're just learning this new language. And so all of a sudden they're talking about fiduciary duties and due process and race judicata. What the heck is that? They're not lawyers yet. They don't really know either, but they're learning. They're learning along the way. And they can't give legal advice. And you're not really helping them if you ask them to because they're not ready to yet. So that's something to know, but you can let them kind of try. I know I often have students come back after the winter break or after Thanksgiving, or they've been home and they say, Aunt Sally wants me to write a will. I haven't even taken wills yet, right? We're just beginning. So it's a process. Your students also have a lot of support in the building. Albany Law School is an incredible community, and it's a community where we really care about and are invested in student success. And so if a student is struggling, there's all kinds of things that you can advise them to do. One is sort of take a deep breath, but two, ask them if they've talked to their professor. Our faculty are available all the time for one-on-one conversations. They have office hours. Now, we're going to talk a little bit. I'm sure one of the questions will be, what are we going to do in the middle of a pandemic? So we're going to talk about that. It may be that office hours are going to be virtual in the fall. I think that's pretty likely. As we're doing our safety planning, we're planning to have in-person classes, but we're going to prioritize that over some of the other things. But your faculty, they want to know your names. They want to know how you're doing. And office hours are one of the most underutilized resources that we have where, and I call them office hours. I mean, faculty will meet you by appointment. If you say I'm having trouble with the concept, or I think I get it, and I just want to run it by you to make sure that I actually get it, faculty love it and they'll help you. If you're feeling shy, if your student is feeling shy about going to a faculty member, a law professor, there are teaching assistants. So those are our students who did extraordinarily well in the classes in prior years, and they're hired to help out. And they all have office hours and conversations and opportunities to work through problems. We also have an academic support person who can provide some support. We have faculty advisors that each of your students will be assigned. So there'll be somebody who's not their professor who's available to go talk to. We have incredible associate deans, associate dean for student affairs, associate dean for academic affairs, and assistant dean for diversity and inclusion. All are available all the time to support your students. So if your students start to say, like, this is not just normal, I'm really nervous or I'm really overwhelmed, please send them to one of us. Please give them the chance to talk to one of us. Some of your students will be thriving. So I don't want to talk only about the ones who are struggling, but it happens. And I know, I'm a mom, I know how you feel when someone you love is struggling. It's good to know, this is not undergrad, it's not high school, right? This is professional school. They've got to advocate for themselves, and you can help support them by giving them the advice to go talk to one of the resources that we have available. If your student is really thriving, if your student says, I love law school, I'm on the rugby club, I'm doing moot court, I'm in the criminal law society, I'm in the intellectual law society, you might want to say to them, hey, slow down. But for some students, that's absolutely how they thrive. The busier, the better. And we love those students too. I am someone who needs to focus. My first semester of law school, I had 2 little kids. And I needed to spend time on school stuff, just the academic part. And then I went home and I was a mom. And that worked for me. Things worked out. I had a great law school experience. So I treated it very much like a full-time job. Other students, other very successful students are at the law school all the time, day and night. They spend as much time as they can working in study groups and working with each other. So your student will need to figure those pieces out. So I'm talking a lot and I want to have discussion. So how about someone ask me a question? Are there any questions in the chat yet? I always have trouble reading it. Nothing yet?
Not yet. But people can chime in. I mean, if you don't have a specific question, if there's a topic or subject matter that you'd like to hear the dean's input on, that's always worked. Eric has a question. We have one. Hang on one moment. So I've unmuted your microphone so you can either speak. Oh, it's not unmuting. I guess you can type it in the chat then. Oh, looks like you can speak now.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
So I am the spouse of Brittany Rios. And we were wondering, I know it's not all that crazy important, but I loved the view of the basketball court. Can I sneak onto campus and shoot some hoops if I promise to lose every time and just have
So the answer is yes, although with the pandemic, we may use the gym for classes in the fall. So yes, but maybe not till the second semester. So we do have, we've got the basketball court. I think we're the only law school in the country that's got, it's like a basketball court if you saw the video. It's the governor played basketball there. And it's used, students use it all the time. There's student faculty volleyball games, there's soccer, indoor soccer matches, there's basketball, there's also yoga and other types of activities in the gym. And we sometimes use it for conferences and whatnot. And students do bring their people occasionally to play around in the gym during the open hours. And so Eric, you are more than welcome, and we can see how you do. We had Justice Sonia Sotomayor came to the law school and did a talk. It was fabulous, and was a basketball player back in the day. So we gave her an Albany Law School basketball that she shot in that gym. So you had some good people there before you.
That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah. Many of the students often have spouses and siblings and, significant others that come and interact in their downtime and come to events with them and things like that. They get to be acclimated into the community just as well. So that's always, sometimes they even join support groups amongst themselves, right? So you'll find spouses and partners have a sort of social network away from the students so that they can talk about how they're supporting their students and they can entertain themselves while their students are, busy studying and things like that. So it's definitely a collaborative community.
Any other questions? Are you all so sick of pandemic, or would you like me to talk a little bit about our planning? Get some nodding. Okay, so we're planning, and we are planning to have as many in-person classes as the state will let us, and as we can do safely. And so the planning is careful. We're lawyers, so we're every I will be dotted, every T will be crossed. But it is our fervent hope and plan to have in-person classes in the fall. We are also realists, and we know that for some students, it may not feel safe and it may not be safe to be present in the physical class. And so we are making the investment in the technology so that all of our classes will be available simultaneously in person and remotely. So if any of you is thinking, there's just no way, I'm medically vulnerable, or I live with someone who's medically vulnerable, and for me, it makes a difference. I would like to be remote. That's going to be an option that you'll have. It is, as we think about who we are as a community, we try very hard to be flexible and to meet students where they are and with what they need. And that's how we're doing, our planning is thinking, all right, so if we're able to offer the classes in person and at the same time allow those people who need to be remote, and it may be that you need to be remote for 2 weeks if you are exposed to the virus and you need to self-isolate, you won't have to take time off from class. You'll be able to attend remotely. So we're also thinking about all the safety questions. You'll probably be required to take a test, and we're working on how that will work. We want to make sure that when the community comes together, we all feel safe together. We believe it's going to be shared responsibility. We're going to ask you to monitor your temperatures and be very careful. If you're sick, we're going to ask you to stay home and take care of one another. But we do that at the law school. So I have great faith that we're going to be able to make this work. And as things get better, we'll be able to get back to more of sort of the what it used to look like. But we all know that that's going to take a little bit of time. That's where we are, where we're planning. We are in a state where we do get some directives, but the Albany County has opened up, excuse me, let me turn that off. Albany County has begun to open up, and it's great to see. There's lots of cars on the road and people out in the streets, and we're going to be able to open our buildings for some things fairly soon. And so we're excited about that. I think we all miss each other. You will hear from if any of you came to any of the student panels or the faculty panels or any of the things that we talk about community all the time, because it really is. We are like family. Some of our staff have worked for us for 40 years. Some of our faculty have worked for us for 40 years. Some of the faculty who have worked for us for 40 years have taught in the same class and taught the same subjects at the same time of day. And now all of a sudden they're having to teach on Zoom, and they're great. They pivoted and they made their classes interesting and interactive. We had to do this very quickly, but we're now also not standing still. The faculty has a series of trainings over the summer so that we can all learn how to do this thing where we're standing and teaching a classroom, but we're also teaching those students who are coming in remotely. Some of our faculty are traditional Socratic faculty, so that means they'll call on you and ask you to speak. You're not going to be safe if you're remote. You're going to be possibly on the hot seat if you may get called on to recite a case. Many of our faculty are much more innovative in their teaching, and they use small groups and breakouts and problem sets. They have you draft contracts, not just read about contracts. They have you really work with the materials so that in civil procedure, civil procedure is the class where you learn how to bring a case in federal court. You might draft a complaint or a litigation document, and you will often do that with your classmates, and we'll make sure that that experience continues even in this sort of hybrid format that we're planning. Anything else? I see a youngster on the call. So Juan, you got someone with you?
Yeah, this is Julia Berry, and she is now an alum of Albany.
I'm not an alum.
Sorry, she's just admitted student.
I'm just not wearing makeup. That's why I look.
You look really young. Congratulations. I shouldn't have made that guess. Okay. Well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Do you have any questions?
Yeah, I wanted to ask, like, in what do you guys notice are the areas of law that your graduates go into the most? Is it constitutional law? Is it real estate law? Is it environmental law? Like, what's the thing that you guys notice that this school produces as far as lawyers that go into that field?
Yeah, so we can actually send you very detailed specifics on answer that, but in general, most of our students, more than half, go and work in firms and work in different kinds of civil litigation. But what we're really known for is public service and public interest. So about 35% of our students go into whether it's a government job or working for a not-for-profit, doing work to sort of advocate and make change in the world. We have a terrific government law fellows program for students who are really interested in public service or public interest, and we have a justice center, a clinical program where students can try things out. We have lots of students that go to district attorneys' offices and to public defenders' offices, so we've been very highly ranked there. And if you're at all interested in being in the criminal justice system on either side, there are just really more opportunities than we can fill there. We also have students that go into the business sector and the health sector, often not in traditional legal jobs, but sometimes straight into counsel's office, but other times in compliance. And in some of our most successful alums are in the finance sector, where they're using their legal knowledge to figure out how to help people grow wealth and manage their wealth, and so we see that. But with the group that goes to firms, some of them are in small and middle-sized firms where they may be doing any kind of practice. It may be environmental law, it may be trust and estates law, it may be health law, it may be a general practice where they do all kinds of things. The folks that go to the bigger firms, what they call big law, the giant mega firms in New York City, they tend to work in the corporate departments and they're doing corporate transactions, mergers and acquisitions. So as a student, you will have a professional counselor, someone in our career and professional development office who's assigned to you even before you get to the law school. We're very focused on helping you figure out what career makes sense for you with the skills that you end up actually having and the interests you actually develop when you come to law school. Most people don't have any idea what they want to do when they come to law school. And some people think they do, and they're totally wrong. So we help you both. So for the students who come in and they say, I know I want to be a prosecutor, very early in their law school career, right in the beginning of the second year, we'll try to get you into a DA's office so that you can have the experience of second seating a trial or even getting some evidence in, and maybe you'll love it and you'll do a second or a third placement with the DA's office, and in your third year of law school, you may handle a trial on your own. But you also may learn the best lesson of all, which is you really don't want to be a prosecutor like you thought you did. You watched all those Law and Orders or whatever TV show, and it's just not for you. And that's a great thing to learn in the first semester of your second year of law school, because now you can try something else on. And we see a lot of that. We also see a lot of people who don't know what they want. The first year curriculum is set for you, for the students. So that means that everyone is taking the same courses, and that's true for all law schools. There's sort of a standard smattering of courses, and that includes constitutional law, criminal law, torts, contracts, civil procedure. What are some other first year courses? Introduction to lawyering skills, where you learn how to do sort of negotiations and legal research and oral advocacy. There's a class on property that goes 2 semesters, a course on contracts that goes 2 semesters. You may have no interest in contract law, or so you think, but then you take the course and it's really interesting. And we see this over and over, and students are like, I never in a million years thought I'd like contracts, but I really like contracts. And guess what? Contracts affect everything, whether you're going to work in the giant firm for big corporations, or you're going to work in our community economic development clinic and help entrepreneurs figure out how to start a business. And all of a sudden that sort of transactional practice looks really appealing. Your career counselor will help you figure out what sparks joy in your studying and help you get those opportunities to then put it into practice in an internship, in a field placement, in a clinic, and then have that experience on your resume so that then you are very marketable for a job.
So thank you, Dean Willett. I know just to kind of go back a little bit to the fall planning and the sort of pandemic situation, I know in some of my conversations with students, they're very concerned about coming to campus too soon, so then getting things in order. So they definitely are interested in the remote for the fall, but they've actually expressed interest in being remote for the first year. And so can you speak a little bit about the likelihood or your anticipation of whether it'll be an opportunity to also stay remote for the spring of 21 term, so that they'll have that first year to kind of reacclimate to the new normal?
So the answer is I don't have an answer to that question. We are planning for the fall, and things are moving fast. We're accredited by the American Bar Association, and our students get licensed to practice in New York, which means we have to follow New York's rules. Both the American Bar Association and the New York Court of Appeals generally limit the number of online classes that students can count towards graduation. They're waiving that. They waived it for this semester, obviously, and they're waiving that for the fall. At this point, we don't know whether it's even an option for the spring. We also don't know what things will look like. So this is a hard time for you all to be making decisions. There's so much uncertainty, and we're asking you to make the decision without coming to our beautiful campus and meeting our people. And then there's that. But what I can tell you is that we always aim to be as flexible as we can with our students. We aim to meet our students' needs. And we also aim to give you a degree that you're going to be able to use to practice law. So, you know, with all those things in mind, we'll let you know as soon as we know. I think there's a lot to be determined. If anyone's concerned about a mid-year move, we'll work with you. You know, we'll help you figure out what that would look like if we are fully back. Now, I will say, I think being on campus is great. I love being in the classrooms, love being in the hallways with students. I love the conversations. I think you will too. So, you know, it's in my view, we're in a good situation if the pandemic situation has passed enough that we don't need to use social distancing, and we're not in this sort of emergency state of mind, but we just don't know enough yet. So sorry to not be able to give a more definite answer.
No, I know. And I think it's still good to hear us talk about it, right? Because it can be so not satisfying for all of us. And think about not just this decision, right? Although this is a pretty big one in the life planning, but so many of our decisions and so many things feel like they're just sort of on hold and wait and see. And even though we're supposed to be moving forward, we don't know what we're moving forward into. And it just sort of, it can be very unsettling. So I think just having these forums and knowing that you're in a conversation with a bunch of people who are in similar circumstances and who are sort of batting around the same things, I think is still comforting. I always advise students that we do have a toolkit, right? So there's always flexibility and there's always options, just as there always have been. There are, you know, leaves of absence, and there are, so we went remote in a pivot really quickly in the middle of this semester. Students always have had, you know, unexpected life turns or medical emergencies. And we always work with all of our students to sort of find a way to help them be successful in whatever way they need and in whatever sort of goals they have. So that's not changed. That's new. That's not new. Albany Law has always been doing that, and we will continue to do that. So I think if you're ready to start, you just need to be with an open mind that there's going to be various tools and various resources and people at your back to help you be successful in whatever that looks like for you. And it might just kind of have to come and roll with the punches. But that's going to be your legal professional career anyway. So you might as well sort of get used to it now. I think no matter which angle you take on your legal profession, like, there's always going to be curveballs, and there's always going to be thinking on your feet and pivoting and reacting and adapting. So I guess we're just getting trial by fire right now. Everybody's just going to get in there and do it. So I want to say, for my role as your Dean of Admissions, the best way I can be helpful is to keep having these conversations with me. Let me know what your concerns are. Let me know what your needs are. I can't always promise I'll have answers, but I can, you know, do my best to be responsive, and we can at least be thoughtful about what is on your mind. So as we have these conversations and we make these plans, we'll be able to know that we're getting at the heart of the things that are most meaningful to you. So I appreciate you all raising the issues. So
if I just jump in for a second on
please.
that. One of the things that we try to do, and I think we do reasonably well, is just to be really transparent and communicate all the time. We work very hard to give you the information you need. So if students are starting to have questions about the spring semester, as soon as we have answers, we will let you know. Like I said, we're really focused right now on August and making sure that works. But we will raise it. I'll bring this back and we'll raise it, and we'll give you the information you need whenever we have it. Throughout the pandemic, since March, we've done regular town hall meetings. While students were in class, we did them every day. All the deans showed up every day on Zoom. We had a little room, and some days it was huge, hundreds of people, and some days it was 40. And we're still doing regular meetings twice a week just to make sure that we stay in touch and that we answer the questions. And it's that I can tell you will happen for sure, that when you come to the law school, you will be listened to and be part of whatever the decision making. We always have students involved. Even if it may be advisory in some cases, but we listen pretty carefully and try to make the best decisions so that you have an excellent legal education and that we meet your needs. So sorry, you were going to go to a question, I think, Amy.
Actually,
Go
we
ahead, Ben.
had kind of two just kind of fact-based questions here. Somebody was asking about the size of the 1L class coming in and how many sections that will be. And then also tangentially related to that, when do people find out about their first year schedule? And then we can get to the other question in just a second.
So we're planning on 9 sections for the first year class of about 20 each. And we'll see, we do know there may be some students who decide to defer. We're hearing that. Hope you won't. We hope you'll show up and be with us. But the sections are fairly small, so 20 or fewer. And you'll have at least one class where it will just be your section, but then you'll be with other sections. And the sections do develop an identity and a friendship because they go through your section, you and your section will go through all of your first year classes together. But in a class with 40 people or with 60 people, you'll have some interaction with other sections. What was the other part of that question, Ben?
It was about when scheduling is. I mean, I know we have a set schedule. When do they find what that is?
Yeah. So, but your classes are everyone's. Property doesn't meet at the same time every day. So it's usually early July, and we'll get it to you as soon as we can. We do hope once you deposit, you're able to get credentials and get on our lists, and you start getting some information. So we hope that we'll get out all that information out as soon as we can.
Yeah, I did drop a link as well in the chat, and certainly it's on the website. The first year course schedule, sort of which coursework you'll be taking, is standard, and we can share that right now. So it's all up there. So you'll at least be able to know sort of what to anticipate. In the past, we've been able to share a typical first year course schedule. Given all the shifting that we're sort of planning on right now because of accommodating social distancing and things, I can't guarantee that standard schedule will be as predictive. But certainly, you can reach out to the admissions office and we can follow up and talk to you about what it usually looks like if you'd like to chat more about that, or you can chat with current students. We have our student ambassadors on the website. And again, if you email or call the admissions office, we can always connect you peer-to-peer, so you can talk to them a little bit about what that first year coursework feels like. So while you're waiting for the actual concrete schedule to come in July, you can still have a lot of great information about what to anticipate, even in the meantime.
And then we did have a very simple, very easy to answer question here for you. What can a student do to prepare, excuse me, oh geez, I can't even say it, it's so simple. What can you do to prepare to become a 1L?
So first of all, take a deep breath, go for walks in the woods, take care of yourselves, and just be ready. You're going on a great adventure. You're ready now. If you really want to prepare, read something that you love. You're going to be doing a lot of reading in law school. And some of it will be really interesting. We do a lot of case methods. So that means you're reading cases which have a beginning, middle, and an end, right? Something bad happened, there's a lawsuit, there's a story. So I find it compelling, but it's not always compelling. But for the summer, you can kind of get your reading muscles ready by reading something that you love. Read novels, read history. I'm reading the Churchill biography that just came out. It's amazing, and what happens, what's leadership look like in a time of crisis. We don't always have the chance to read while we're law students. I think I didn't read a novel. Like I said, I was raising kids. I didn't read a novel it took me 4 years to get through law school. I didn't read a novel for at least those 4 years, and maybe for the 2 years that I clerked after law school either. So that would be my advice. There are some, we will be offering a new student orientation. There may be some online modules that for those who really want to do it. But that's my advice is, first of all, take a breath, get healthy, get ready. This is a big thing you're taking on, and just enjoy your summer. Do you give different advice, Amy?
No, I say I usually go pretty much along those lines. I always just feel like you're going to be your best if you're feeling as solid and sort of grounded and refreshed as you can on the way in. So doing all of those things to kind of get as many ducks in a row and get yourself feeling as sort of, centered and prepared as you can. So do the things that you enjoy, and get yourself in good headspace to be ready to have good habits and good routines for your overall wellness. That will help you feel a little less stressed and more prepared on the way in. So yeah, all great advice.
Then one more that just came in here, asking about books, books for classes, where to purchase from. I've never been a law student, so I don't know how to answer this question.
We have a bookstore that is part of we share a campus with the pharmacy school. And there's a student center that it's a beautiful bookstore. It looks like a Barnes and Noble. So you can actually go there and purchase a book. You can do it online. A lot of our students do rent books as well. And you may decide to do that to save a little bit of money. So that will be, I would suggest for that, you want to get in one of the sessions with students and ask which books do they really want to keep and which do they want to rent. But so you have some options, and we can probably get the link in the chat to the bookstore. You can look around at the materials.
Yeah, for sure. We can definitely drop that. And then again, you'll know your course schedule usually in July. So when you'll have the concrete, which professors you have and which books you need. But again, the coursework is solid for the 1L year. The curriculum is standard. So you'll definitely be able to go look around and sort of get a good idea. And so we'll definitely put a link in the chat to the bookstore.
Yeah, I saw a question in the chat about new student orientation and the swearing-in ceremony. And I'll just say for all of you, whether you are able to attend that physically or remotely, do it. It's very nice. We have a federal judge who will come in. It's at the end of orientation. And you will have been through a social part and an academic part of orientation. And we sort of do our orientation. So you come in kind of looking like yourselves, regular old clothes, and it's a few days later and everyone wears professional dress and goes to our Dean Alexander courtroom, which is just a majestic courtroom, and you sort of feel the weight of the moment and raise your hand and read a pledge. And it's the real formal beginning of your professional journey into this incredible profession. And so it's a great moment. We look back at it later at commencement, and we often look at the photo of new student orientation and think about how little you knew then and how much you know now. It's very special. And later on, you're sworn in as an attorney in what is always just, for me, the tear-breaking, very emotional ceremony where after you have gotten through law school and passed the bar exam, and you raise your hand again, and you'll say some of the same words as you then actually are sworn in as an attorney, and you get to put your ESQ after your name, and it's something to see.
It's always a very moving day. One of our favorites. We have some questions about generally, would we advise getting prep courses like Barbary, things like that? So you might want to touch on maybe a little bit of our bar prep.
Yes, so I wouldn't get prep courses now. Save that for after you graduate or for when you're studying for the bar. Some of you will do that in January of your third year if you're taking the bar early through one of the programs, or you'll do it in July after you graduate. And we do recommend using a commercial provider. That's all they do is teach you how to take the test. The studying for the bar exam is a journey unlike any other. I never want to do it again. It was not the most fun. It's about 10 weeks where you're studying. I think they're now testing 18 different subjects. It's a 2-day exam. It's 2 full days of exam, and it's part, it's something that all attorneys go through. It's not really fun, but that you do what the bar companies say, and you're more than likely to pass on the first try. We also have a programming for the bar exam at the law school. So in your second year, there's a course called Advanced Legal Analysis 1 that is something that we may recommend that you take. You take sort of a mini bar exam. We call it the Diagnostic at the beginning of your second year. And much of what's tested on the bar exam is actually taught in your first year, which is just this bizarre thing because there's this time lag. So we do this little mini diagnostic, and it tells us, do you have trouble with multiple choice questions? Do you have trouble with torts? Do you have trouble with essays? And your faculty advisor will work with you and say, if you're having trouble with test taking in general, we may say we recommend that you take ALA 1, because that will help you to actually get ready for the bar exam. We may also say, boy, you just tanked on torts, so we're going to have you take an advanced torts class so that you're more ready to take the bar exam. In your third year of law school, your last semester of law school, we recommend that you all take the Advanced Legal Analysis 2, which is our bar prep course, and it's actually a bar prep course. And so it's like spring training or preseason, gets you ready to then do that summer study. And the students who take it absolutely love it. They swear by it. I think everyone should take it. Some students choose not to. They want to put off studying for the bar as long as they can. But support people. Here's a little hint: tell your student to take ALA 2, and it's a good idea. It will help you pass the bar, and it will just make that summer a little bit easier. Even though I can't say it's going to be the best summer of your life when you're studying for the bar. It gets better after that.
The more you spread it out and do the repetition, it's way better than trying to cram it all into 8 weeks at the end. So definitely.
Back when I was a law student, there was no such thing as an in-school bar prep course that I would have given to have that.
Yes, agreed. We also had a little question about, can you talk a bit about what the parking situation is on campus?
Oh, yep. So there is parking available. There is it's not our space, so there's a fee to park. It's not hugely expensive. If you end up we give the money, this semester, the people who, when we cancel classes, we gave the money back. But there's enough parking. It's a little bit of a hike for first years. Second years get a little bit better parking spot. And by the time you're a senior, you're right next to the building. So it's something to look forward to. If any of you is a 2-year student in your second year, you get to get in the senior lot. The 2-year accelerated students lobbied for that. But there's enough parking for everyone. You're not driving around forever looking for a spot, but you may have a little bit of, it's not a huge walk. It's all contiguous. And
yeah, it's always funny to me because I think we're in such a convenient area, just getting around generally, and we're close to everything. And so people get a little bit sort of spoiled, I think, by everything being just steps away, right? And so if you've come from any kind of a big campus, this hike to our parking lot is like a breeze, right? If you're used to sort of having troubled parking on campuses and having to, stalk a parking space and run across campus to be on time, there's none of that. It's literally like one building away, flat ground with a sidewalk. Like it's super easy, and it's always ample. So you're never fighting people for spaces.
Right. And a lot of our students, even those students that have cars, don't use them.
Yep.
There's a lot of housing that's in walking distance, so a lot of people walk to school, and we provide bus passes and bike passes. So there's the public bus, the transit system, and then there are bikes that, the ride share bikes. And we have students that use those during the good days, and the buses when it's a little chillier in Albany. So not everybody chooses to park, but for some students, it's just more convenient. If you are commuting, we have students who will live in Saratoga Springs and be driving down, or live in Columbia County and driving over. So for those students, obviously parking is helpful.
Lots of options. And I will say a little shameless plug. I know some of these sort of lifestyle things and the nuts and bolts, like when do I get my books and how do I study for my classes and what should I be reading or preparing for over the summer, we have planned additional content for you and sessions like this with current students and with faculty, maybe alumni, you know, sort of people who can also contribute to all of that. So definitely, we hope that you'll stay engaged in the coming weeks over the summer. And as you get closer and you start to identify what those sort of things are that are running around your head, you know, or maybe some of the ones that you don't even know yet that you should be thinking about, you'll have lots of opportunity to meet more community members and continue those conversations. So this is not your only shot at that. We do have our Facebook group, which is a great way to start some of those conversations. Now is about the time where that starts to kind of get more active. Everybody's sort of semester has closed. They're shifting into the summer when they're preparing to enter law school. So you'll see a lot of great conversations about that kind of stuff, sharing of resources and ideas and reading suggestions and things like that. So if you haven't already, you might want to join the Facebook group. It is open. Your family members can look at it too. I don't know if I was focusing on the chat, Dean Willett. Did you mention the reading group, the literary circle?
I did not. Yeah, so some of our first year students, and this came out of our daily town halls, really wanted to have some more connection, particularly during the pandemic, but just regardless. And they formed a literary circle that's open to all of you to join, and to our alumni and faculty and staff and students. And they've gotten a tremendous response. I don't know what the current number is, but they're breaking the groups up by interest so that you can read a book with, it's basically a book club, and there'll be discussion and community. So that is something that will be a nice way to start to get to know some of your classmates and upper class people and other individuals who are going to be part of the community. We also have some professors that are doing Friday night movie nights, Netflix watch parties. I will confess, I have not spent my Friday nights watching the movies with the team. I'm spending a lot of time on screen, so I didn't do that, but the students love them. I expect that those will continue even when we're fully on campus, because they're having so much fun watching it, from their own homes, watching together and joining as a community. I see a question about restriction regarding the number of hours that you can work during law school. So there's no restriction. You're not going to get kicked out for working. And we had a state trooper who worked full time, graduated in 3 years. I wanted to kill him because our advice is don't work during law school, or don't work during your first semester of law school. And we advise, again, we advise in your second semester to limit it to 10 hours. And then you'll be able to self-police after, but there's not actually a limit. I will say, if anyone's thinking about working during their first semester, especially if you're going to do more than just a little tiny bit for a couple of hours, please talk to us. We want to support you and we want to help you succeed. And we can just stay in touch. There are options. So our state trooper, he did it. He kind of hit it. When he showed up in his uniform at graduation, I was like, "What are you doing?" So I had a secret life the whole time. He kept it from us. He's a very funny guy. We do have a 4-year option, and we have that can be a really good option to start with if you do feel like you need to work for paid employment in your first year, and you can shift. So with the 4-year option, you take one fewer course each semester, and it just kind of gives you some breathing room to do that work. You can even drop down to 2 fewer courses. And then a lot of our 4-year students, the students that start out in the 4-year program, they decide to take a class over the summer or to load up really heavily for a couple of semesters and catch up, or graduate in 3.5 years, or they do a joint degree, a dual degree. So there's lots of options. But if you're thinking about working during that first semester, it's just gonna be hard. Law school is all encompassing, and we want you to have the time to really focus on it. But we also recognize that people need to pay the bills. And if you're in that situation, just let us know and we'll support you. We'll work with you. But it's good for us to know if that's the situation that you're in.
Agreed. So I think that we've covered all of the questions that were in the chat. Just every now and then one can slip by. So if there's something that you did place there that we haven't touched on, be vocal now, because I think we've been trying to go back through and make sure we caught everybody. But I want to be respectful of everyone's time. So we are approaching the 6 o'clock hour. So if there are any final questions, we'll take them now. Otherwise, I will ask Dean Willett if you have any sort of closing thoughts or remarks.
Any last questions? And on Zoom, you always have to give them a minute.
Yeah, you do. You got to take a little time. And I will also say, while we're waiting for that, I am always fond of saying that these sessions and the relationships that we're building through this application process, these are intended to start conversations, not end them. So there's no expectation that you're going to learn everything you could possibly need to know or want to know in 1 hour's time. But we're hoping that you're getting the gist that we are super eager to help, and there's a whole community of people. So if it's not myself or the dean, there are hundreds of others that are super eager to engage with you. So whatever the topic of conversation or the thought, the concern that you have, we can connect you with people who will help reassure you and get you the information you want. So please, please, please just let us know how we can help you out.
And I'll just close by going back to where I started and congratulating you all on the beginning of this wonderful professional journey into what is one of the most noble professions that there is. Lawyers are problem solvers. They fight for justice and liberty and rights, and it matters. Law matters, and you're going to be a part of that. And whatever you end up doing with your career and what your students do with their careers, it's going to make you proud every day. I love being a lawyer, and I can't wait to start the journey with you in person. I really do want us to be together, when that time comes, we'll celebrate, and we'll celebrate throughout, and we'll see your wins, we'll see your growth, we'll see you on this journey, and I hope that's soon. I hope we get to meet you soon. So enjoy your summer, and I look forward to seeing you all in the fall. Thanks so much for being here tonight.
Okay, awesome. Well, and thanks to all our family for joining. It's great to see all of you, and we look forward to meeting you soon. Take care, everyone. We appreciate your thanks. You're very welcome.